Hi, I'm Carole Staveley, and I just wanted to share with you a few pieces of information around overcoming chronic pain to live as an active life as you can. And some of the things that I've done have been I've made changes in my nutrition and some of the supplements I'm taking. I've raised my awareness about the importance of hydration and making sure that my body stays fully hydrated all day long, every day. I've also learned a lot about self-massage using a ball and a roller, which I'll demonstrate later, and also the importance of movement and exercise. So no matter how stiff and sore you feel, it's critical to keep moving. So for each of these things, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've done and what I'm working on an ongoing basis to keep my muscles as functional as possible and help them recover as well as possible, so that I can live an active life. For more information on these aspects of maintaining a healthy, active life despite physical limitations, go to my website. It's www.carolestaveley.com. And if you can't find what you're looking for on my website, please contact me. The information is there. Send me an email, tell me about your story, and maybe we can work together to help you arrive at your healthiest, fittest, most functional state. So one of the important changes that I had to make to help me deal with this chronic myofascial pain or muscle stiffness was my diet. Turns out that research has been done to show that white flour, sugar, and processed foods like that actually trigger an inflammatory process in the body. So if you've got a condition that already is related to inflammation, the worst thing you can do is eat too much sugar and processed carbs like white breads and pastas and that type of thing. The other thing I discovered was that I was not getting enough protein and not getting enough omega fatty acids, which can combat inflammation. So just to give you an example of the types of things that I tend to eat on a daily basis. So lots of fresh fruit, especially the vegetables though. Vegetables have a lot less sugar in them. They have very high fiber, lots of antioxidants. Green leafies in particular tend to have high levels of magnesium, and magnesium is actually a factor in muscle relaxation. So you can imagine that's important if you've got stiff muscles. The carbs that I do eat now tend to be unprocessed whole grains. So as an example would be steel cut oats. There would also be barley and quinoa and those types of grains. Not so much processed like you find in bread. Other things would be my trail mix, which is great to satisfy the salty, sweet type cravings. So in mine, I put peanuts, raisins. These are pumpkin seeds as well as sunflower seeds. And I'm allergic to tree nuts, but I'm okay with peanuts. So that's my trail mix. But if you can tolerate tree nuts, it's also a better option. These are hemp heart seeds, which contain tons of omega-3 fatty acids. So I sprinkle them on salad and yogurt, anywhere you can sprinkle them. They're great for you. Eat a lot of fish, a lot of salmon in particular. Also tuna. When I need something quick and easy, I just open a can of tuna. Again, lots of omega-3s plus the protein combined. I eat 3 servings of red meat per week, and that's for me because I need the vitamin B12 and the iron. But the one thing I would say though before you start making a lot of changes to your diet is, if you can, consult a nutritionist who deals with sports performance and sports nutrition, because you may or may not consider yourself an athlete, but if you have a musculoskeletal condition and pain and stiffness in your muscles, then you should be eating the way an athlete eats, because they eat for peak performance of muscles, and that's what we need. So, but I can almost assure you that one of the changes that you will be smart to make would be to reduce the intake of sugars and processed carbs like breads and pastas. So I eat a lot of protein, a lot more protein than I used to. Every snack that I take in has a protein component to it so that it doesn't spike my blood sugar up and down, which is another issue with inflammation. And I've also added a number of different supplements that are right for me. Again, this was based on a blood analysis that was done using a nutritionist. So I take an omega-3 supplement 3 times a day. I take extra magnesium offset with calcium. I take some zinc as well as a B complex and a number of other supplements. But this was recommended to me based on my blood results. So there may be some things that are good for everybody, but there may be some that need to be tweaked for you and your specific needs based on your blood work. So you know, really important to choose the right foods. You know, you always hear you are what you eat, and I really believe it now. It's so true. It was one of the critical changes that I made to on the road to feeling better and moving from debilitation to high performance. So one other thing that was an eye-opener for me in terms of trying to get my muscles functioning properly and get rid of the chronic pain and regain my mobility and try to get to a point where I could be as active as I wanted to be was the importance of hydration. Now, I've always known, and everyone knows, how important water is and how important it is to be hydrated. I think what most of us don't understand is what it actually takes to be hydrated on a daily basis. So I'm holding a 750 milliliter bottle in my hand, and to really remain hydrated on a daily basis, you need to have 4 of these per day, and that's if you don't do any heavy-duty exercise. And the other important factor is that you need to be ingesting equal amounts of water all throughout the day. If you guzzle 4 of these within a 2-hour time frame and you don't drink the rest of the day, you're not going to be hydrated throughout the day. So drink regularly and try to get to about 3 liters a day, and that's on a day when you're not doing a lot of heavy cardio exercise that causes you to perspire a lot. If you are doing a lot of exercise, then you should be adding close to 1 liter for every hour of intense exercise that you're doing. A lot of people also talk about electrolyte drinks and Gatorade and things like that, which can be helpful once you get to a point where you're burning a lot of calories and sweating a lot and losing a lot of electrolytes through your skin. But the key factor to keep in mind is that it's the amount of water that is the basic, most important factor. And then if you do need to replenish electrolytes, drinks can be helpful, but they're not absorbed by the gut as well usually as just plain water. So water first, electrolytes second, and stay hydrated. So we've talked a bit about trigger points and the fact that these are basically like knots in your soft tissue in the muscles. And I pretty much have them all over my body and I have to keep them in check. So, you know, nutrition and hydration obviously have played a huge role to get me to a point where I can function at a fairly high level. But one of the very important things in dealing with trigger points and keeping your muscles loose and functioning properly is basically self-massage with a roller and a ball. So these are some of the tools that I use. And I thought it would be helpful if I just maybe demonstrate some of the key trigger point areas and how I use these to relieve some of that tension and some of those knots. So with the roller, it's always helpful, I think, to go down the full length of the body. So I will often start up under my shoulder. This is a common trigger point area here behind the shoulder. And you can just kind of roll back and forth this way, in addition to rolling up and down this way. So you just try to get it from every angle, and I can feel it. Feels great. You might find it a little bit painful at first, but I think you'll find that you get a lot of relief from this type of motion. So just continue on along your side body and until you get to the hip area. Sometimes it's hard to use the roller in the hip area. It's a bit awkward. So I will sometimes bypass that and move down the leg on the roller. And again, you want to try the front, the side, the back, a little bit, and then even roll back and forth and work your way down. Oh, I found a good knot right there. Then you can use the roller as well for the lower leg. The only thing is you're not getting as much weight down on the roller because obviously that part of your body is a little lighter. But if you're sensitive and you feel like this is enough, then by all means you can roll this way on your calf and on the outside of your lower leg as well. And then what I do, if I find a particularly difficult knot or something that's hard to reach, like in the hip area, that's when I go for the ball. And the ball is also useful for the calf because you can push into it once you find a knot. And then you just kind of move it around, circles, back and forth, side to side. And same with the hip. I find that this is my most useful tool for the outside of the hip here. So you find the area that seems to be bothering you, put the ball right on that spot, and then again you just kind of move your body back and forth, side to side. And it really does help. At least it helps me. So this is something that you can get in a sporting goods store or a swim supply store. It's a water belt, basically, and it's something that you can use if you're injured or if anything hurts and you feel like you just can't do anything. At the very least, you can have some movement by putting this on and using it in the water. And I'll show you in a few minutes. You don't need a lot of space in a pool. You need basically a deep section of a pool, and you basically walk or jog by putting this belt on. This, oops, maybe get it on. And then you just jump in the water and walk or run. So you just basically run, walk, whatever pace is comfortable. You can see as fast as I'm trying to go, I'm not advancing very fast, so that you don't need a lot of space. So I'm actually doing this right now for my Ironman training, substituting some running workouts with this because it reduces, obviously it takes away the impact on the body. And you can get a pretty good workout. I'm already feeling my breath getting a little shorter. You're using arms and legs, so it's a great full body workout. You try to keep your abs pulled in, so it can actually also be a core workout. So I recommend this for anyone who feels like things hurt or things don't feel comfortable if they're trying to do high impact exercise. So this is a strength exercise that my trainer showed me early on when I was still inflamed everywhere. I had pain everywhere and I had a swollen knee. And she says, let's do a one-legged squat. So as she's demonstrating, I thought to myself, there's no way I can do that with a sore knee. So the point is, as she explained to me, you only do as much as you can do, but you have to do some. So as long as it's being shown to you properly by someone who's qualified, like an exercise physiologist or trainer, and you know that you're doing the move properly, then you need to do it to the point before it begins to hurt. So even if you can only go this far, that's enough. At least you've done something. And then gradually over time, you'll be able to go farther and farther. And I'm still working on getting as low as I can get.